The film opens in an interrogation room. An old man, Hutch Mansell, sits there, bruised, bloodied, yet calm. He lights a cigarette, takes a slow drag, and feeds a stray cat some tuna. The detectives stare at him, surprised by his composure, and ask who he is. He simply says he's nobody. Going back a few days, Hutch is seen living a repetitive, uneventful life. His days start with the same morning routine, the same commute, and the same dull job. He always misses the garbage truck by a few seconds, just like clockwork. At home, he lives with his wife, Becca, a real estate agent, and their 2 kids, Blake and Sammy. But the spark between Hutch and Becca has faded, and even Blake seems to have lost respect for his father. One night, as Hutch is checking on his kids, he looks in Blake's room and sees his son gesture towards downstairs, as there has been a break-in. Hutch quietly goes downstairs to find a couple, Luis and Lupita, trying to raid the place. Lupita spots Hutch and aims her gun at him, and he calmly tells her to take the money from the cash bowl in the kitchen. The 2 also demand Hutch's watch and wedding ring, but he only lets them take the watch. As they try to escape, Blake tackles Luis and locks him in a hold. Lupita approaches them with the gun, and Hutch appears to get ready to swing at her with a golf club, but he stops himself and tells Blake to let Luis go. He does, and Luis punches him in the face before he and Lupita flee. The cops arrive later, with Hutch feeling guilty for what happened, and both Blake and the responding officer criticizing Hutch for not acting. At work, Hutch's boss and father-in-law, Eddie, brings up the break-in, trying to sound concerned, but mostly focused on appearances. Becca's brother, Charlie, takes it more seriously and gives Hutch a gun, telling him to keep it for protection. Hutch later hides the gun deep inside the refrigerator, tucked away in a box behind the food, just another secret in his quiet life. That night, he talks to his brother Harry over the radio, who's still in hiding for reasons Hutch doesn't mention. He tells Harry he didn't fight back because he noticed Lupita's gun was empty. Later, he visits his retired FBI agent father, David, who studies him carefully and says he doesn't look well. Despite trying to move on, Hutch can't escape the guilt of not protecting his family when it mattered most. The breaking point comes when little Sammy mentions her kitty cat bracelet is missing. That's when Hutch realizes the robbers must have taken it. His frustration finally boils over, and he decides he's had enough. He takes a bus through the night, stopping by his father David's house to retrieve his old FBI badge and a gun. When David wakes up and catches him in the act, Hutch simply says he has to take care of something, and leaves. Recalling the tattoo on Lupita's wrist, he starts visiting tattoo parlors, searching for clues. Most people know nothing about it until he steps into one shady shop. The men there mock at his expired FBI badge, trying to intimidate him, until one of them notices the tattoo on Hutch's wrist, a small pair of playing cards. The moment he sees it, his face turns pale. He thanks Hutch for his service, panics, and locks himself in a room with multiple locks. The tattoo artist immediately realizes Hutch isn't someone to mess with, and quietly points him toward the people he's looking for. Hutch tracks down Luis and Lupita's apartment and quietly breaks in. He catches them off guard, pistol-whipping Luis and demanding his belongings back. They quickly hand over the watch, terrified, but insist they don't have Sammy's bracelet. Then Hutch notices something, a sick baby lying nearby. The couple pleads with him to leave. Seeing their desperation, Hutch steps back, silent and conflicted. Outside, rain pours down as he walks away, his anger boiling over. He slams his fist into a brick wall, the frustration of everything he's held in finally breaking through. Hutch boards a late-night bus heading home, still tense and restless. Moments later, a car crashes nearby, and a group of drunk, mob-looking men stumbles in. Hutch watches quietly, almost hoping they'll make a move. He needs a reason to unleash everything he's been holding back. When the men start harassing a young woman, the bus driver reaches for her phone, but Hutch gently signals her to step outside. He's got this. The fight begins brutally. The men land a few hard blows, but Hutch fights back with precision and fury, taking them down one by one. A knife catches him in the side, but he doesn't stop. He stabs a few of them back, carefully avoiding fatal hits. They throw him out the bus window, yet he drags himself up, bleeding but determined, and climbs back in to finish what he started. The last man standing Teddy grabs Hutch's gun and aims, but Hutch rips a metal pole from the bus, knocks the weapon away, and beats Teddy until his windpipe cracks. As Teddy gasps for air, Hutch performs a quick tracheotomy, saving his life before calmly walking away. When he reaches home, Becca is still awake. One look at his battered face and she already knows the man she once loved is resurfacing. As she quietly patches his wound, Hutch admits how long it's been since they truly felt close, and how much that distance has been eating at him. At a crowded nightclub, mobster Yulian Kuznetsov makes a grand entrance, dancing his way through the floor before joining his associates at a private table. They're there to discuss the Obshak, a massive shared fortune managed by the organization. Some of the men quietly question Yulian's seriousness, mocking his love for singing and dancing. But Yulian silences all doubt in an instant. Without warning, he grabs a broken martini glass and slashes one of the shareholders across the face for simply looking at him the wrong way. The others quickly raise their glasses, pretending to toast the man's death, knowing it means a bigger share for them. Moments later, Yulian receives a call and rushes to the hospital, where he finds his younger brother, Teddy, barely alive. The doctors tell him Teddy has suffered permanent brain damage. Enraged, Yulian turns on Teddy's surviving friends, demanding answers. When they stammer that it was just one man who did this, Yulian can't believe it. And when asked about him, one of them gives Yulian a card that belongs to Hutch, which he collected during the fight. Hutch receives a call from his brother, Harry, who warns him that he's caught the attention of Russian mobster, Yulian. Harry advises him to meet someone known as the Barber for more information. Hutch heads downtown and finds the Barber already waiting for him. Surprised, he asks if he's really that predictable. The Barber smirks and replies that from where he's sitting, everyone is predictable. He then slides a file, Yulian's full profile. The file describes Yulian as violent, unpredictable, and deeply tied to the Obshak, a massive pool of mob money. And now, Yulian is the one in charge of guarding it. On the other side, Yulian orders his henchwoman by using the card to dig up everything she can on Hutch Mansell. She contacts her informant inside the FBI and blackmails him with compromising photos until he sneaks into the archives and pulls out a highly classified file. When she finally sees what's inside, her confidence fades. The file reveals that Hutch wasn't just an ordinary man, but a former government assassin, a ruthless one. Shocked and terrified, she quits on the spot, refusing to have anything more to do with Yulian's vendetta. Yulian, unfazed and burning with anger, gives a single order to his men to find Hutch and bring him in alive. Finally, after a long time, Hutch sits down to have dinner with his family. The atmosphere is joy and cheerful, until he notices 3 cars pulling up across the street. His instincts kick in immediately. Danger is here. Without wasting a second, he rushes Becca and the kids into the basement panic room, locking it tight behind them. He turns the lights off just as armed men burst through the door. Hutch moves silently through the shadows, taking them down one by one, shooting, stabbing, fighting with ruthless precision. But before he can finish them all, one of the attackers tases him in the neck and everything goes dark. The gunmen throw his unconscious body into a car trunk, planning to deliver him to Yulian. But after a while, Hutch wakes up, dazed but determined. He dislocates his thumb to free his hands, pops the trunk open, and quickly assesses the speeding car. There's no way to jump out safely. Thinking fast, he grabs a fire extinguisher, sprays through the back seat, blinding the driver, and sends the car crashing. Crawling out of the wreckage, Hutch finds one of Yulian's men barely alive. As the man gasps for air, Hutch tells him he used to be an auditor, the kind of man everyone fears, the one sent to clean up the mess no one else could handle. But before Hutch can finish, the man dies. Hutch runs home, calls his father David, and warns him to stay alert. After that, he washes and cleans himself. Then he unlocks the panic room, shielding Sammy's eyes from the blood-soaked house. Becca, shaken, asks what's happening. Hutch looks at her and says softly to trust him, just one last time. He sends her and the kids away to safety, and before leaving, Becca asks him to promise that he'll come back. Hutch drags the dead gunman into the basement, along with one who's still barely alive. As he ties the man down, Hutch starts to talk with him. He recalls his last job before retirement, when he was ordered to kill a man caught embezzling money. The man begged for his life, and Hutch could tell he was truly remorseful, so instead of pulling the trigger, he let him go. Years later, Hutch tracked that man down and saw him living peacefully, married, 2 kids, a normal life. Hutch admits that was the moment he felt jealous, realizing he wanted something like that too. That's why he left everything behind. When he's done talking, he sees the man already died. Then he pours kerosene across the floor, lights a match, and walks away as his house goes up in flames, leaving behind the quiet life that never truly fit him. Hutch arrives at Eddie's place carrying a bag of gold bars, offering to buy the entire property. Charlie, unhappy at the thought of being cut out, lunges at Hutch, but Hutch lands a solid punch to his gut. Eddie, seeing the deal is done, accepts the payment. Hutch immediately starts rearranging the place, setting up traps and fortifications throughout. He tracks down the Obshok, wipes out every guard inside, and sets fire to all of Julian's money, leaving nothing behind. Meanwhile, 2 of Julian's men head to the nursing home where David is. They try to take him while he sleeps, but David is ready. He blasts them with a shotgun, leaving his home safe. Hutch then heads to Julian's nightclub and calmly sits down for a meal. The mobsters surround him, but Hutch casually reveals a claymore mine strapped to his finger, making it clear he's not to be messed with. Julian calls off his men and approaches Hutch directly. Hutch tells the mob boss that he's destroyed everything he cares about, and Julian loses control when he realizes the Obshok is gone. Hutch leaves, but Julian and his men give chase. A high-speed pursuit erupts through the city streets, bullets flying as Hutch expertly picks off his pursuers. In the end, he manages to shake them and makes it back to the warehouse, alive and ready for the next move. The men reach the warehouse and open fire on Hutch, but he's not alone. Suddenly, Harry and David appear, ready to back him up. Together, they fight with precision, shooting, stabbing, and using explosives, forcing the attackers into Hutch's booby traps, mechanisms that impale or blow up anyone who steps the wrong way. One by one, the henchmen fall. Finally, Hutch, Harry, and David are left facing Julian, who swears he'll destroy Hutch's entire family. Calm and focused, Hutch grabs the claymore mine, tapes it to a bulletproof glass window, and runs toward Julian. Pulling the pin, the mine detonates, blasting Julian against the wall and ending him once and for all. Hutch thanks Harry and David for their help, but tells them to leave just as police sirens wail in the distance. Alone, he records a voice message for Becca, thanking her for the life she gave him, a life he admits he didn't deserve. He then spots the stray cat, picks it up, and quietly walks outside, surrendering to the police. Back in the interrogation room, Hutch sits quietly, bruised but composed, smoking, and tells the detectives once again that he's nobody. When they press him for more details, he simply replies that nobody is enough. Suddenly, both detectives receive phone calls. No words are heard, but their faces drain of color. 3 months later, Hutch and Becca are touring a new house. As they discuss it, the real estate agent receives a call for Hutch. He answers, but again, nothing is said. Only the quiet implication that someone is still after him. Hutch and Becca exchange a knowing look, then ask if the house has a basement.